Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may happen to be in the world. Welcome to another edition of IAG Live. And I am coming at you from Melbourne, Australia. And as always, we have our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guiaro in Macau. Come on in, Oscar.
Hello, good morning.
Oscar, you're going to have to forgive my lighting here. I had a nice big bright light there, and just like that 30 seconds before we came on air, the bulb blew out. So I'm a little bit in the dark here, but we'll just have to put up with that. So anyway,
It looks like sort of a 90s TV or something like that, some texture different.
Mysterious.
Yeah, indeed.
So that's what it's going to be this week. How are you, Oscar? Are you back from Spain?
Fine.
Back to Macau?
Yeah. All good. Fantastic.
That's good.
Coming
When
back,
did you get
meeting I got back on Tuesday evening or Tuesday afternoon, late afternoon.
Very good.
So,
Long flight.
Long flight, yeah. It was a tough day, especially I flew with my kid and he's still recovering at home.
Okay, fair enough.
Getting ready for school.
And I will be flying to the Gold Coast tomorrow, and then Brisbane the next day to look at the 2-star properties up there, and then Tuesday to Manila in preparation for the IAG Expo, and I'll see you in Manila.
Okay, yeah, see you.
All right, very
Manila,
good.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, see you in Manila. All right, well, let's get our managing editor, Ben Blaschke, on. Ben, where are you? In Sydney still, I think.
Here I am, Andrew. I'm back in front of my fish, and I've got my co-pilot Willow just off camera sitting next to me, so everything is normal.
Well, it's as normal apart from the fact that your screen is coming through black at the moment. So it's the vagaries of live television, as they used to say. We can't see you at all at the moment. We can hear you, Ben, but we can't see you.
No, that's strange because I can see myself on the screen. Everything looks normal from my end, so that's a bit weird.
Wow, gee, I feel sorry for you being able to see yourself, but no, you're just a black screen to us at the moment, so we're going to have to figure that out. I don't know if you want to.
I might exit and come back then, Andrew.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yep. All right, I'll see you very shortly.
And viewers, you're going to have to forgive me. I've still I've still got a little bit of this dry cough. I got a nasty virus in Macau about 5 weeks ago. It took me a long time to recover. I'm basically recovered, but a little bit of a dry cough. So if I cough a bit during this broadcast, please forgive me. So, Oscar, we've got to fill in a little bit while we wait for Ben to come back. So tell me a bit more about Spain. How was it over there? I heard it was very hot in Europe.
Yeah, well, it was. I have Ben here with camera. So.
Oh, he's back. Oh, there you go, Ben.
Yeah. There you go. You can see me now.
Well, yes, you're a bit low res, but now it's clearing up.
Better.
Yeah, good. All right. Yeah, very hot in Europe, Oscar. Was it hot in Spain?
Yeah. We have the month I was there, we have a couple of heat waves there, and my hometown that usually is around 30 degrees, we reached like 39, so it was like an oven. But it was already going down. The last days, it was nice. It was much nicer. So it looks like it's
getting towards into August, will be September before you know it. All right, thanks, Oscar. We'll see you later, and you'll of course be behind the scenes, pushing the buttons for the rest of this broadcast. See you, Oscar.
I see you.
There we go. And Ben, it's been an interesting week in the gaming industry.
Yeah, there's been plenty happening, Andrew. We're sort of coming out of the results season now for the second quarter, but that tends to spark a lot of activity around that time. So, I think we've got some quite interesting stories to discuss this week. Plenty happening around Australia and a little bit in Macau and Philippines. Yeah, so plenty to talk about.
Yes, the reinvestment seemed to be the key word, didn't it, through all those results this quarter? They talked a lot about that, didn't they?
Yeah, that's been the theme really for past couple of years, and it's the question that the analysts ask on every single earnings call is about player reinvestment, how much spend, margins. They're all I guess, the key words that we're seeing pop up in these calls all the time at the moment. And that's just the nature of Macau these days.
Mm. And before we get into this week's story, I mean, perhaps we should talk a little bit about IAG Expo, because this week, the sort of 3 weeks to go to 2 weeks to go, which is the week that we're in at the moment, in many ways is the busiest week of preparations, because once you get into 1 or 2 weeks to go, there's not much can be changed. So, or the nature of preparations change. But we've pretty much finalized. We have finalized the CIG Idea Summit completely, and we've almost finalized the IAG Summit. You've been heavily involved in that, Ben. And as you know, viewers may know or may not, we really go out of our way to have different kind of conference, different kind of thought leadership event. We don't want the same old content that everybody else has. We try to pick people who have got something really interesting to say and to offer. And often on my travels around the world, I'm trying to find people who are saying, well, no one would want to listen to me. And they're often the ones that are actually the best speakers. It's the old Dunning-Kruger effect, Dumb people think they're clever and clever people think they're dumb, basically, in a nutshell. And so the people who are clever sort of know that there's so much more to know. But they've got really interesting insights to share. So the people that sort of run themselves down are often the people that, we try and get, because they've got interesting perspectives. I mean, maybe you might want to share a few of the interesting speakers that we've got, that maybe speakers that normally wouldn't speak at these conferences, or even interesting panels we put together. You've been leading that process, Ben. So you want to talk a bit about that?
I mean, we could probably start, Andrew, with the CIG Idea Summit, which is our brand new summit we're holding on Monday, the 14th of September. And this is, of course, an online gaming focused summit. It's brought to you by Complete iGaming, which, of course, is IAG's sister brand. Now, we introduced this summit sort of at the prodding of Padcore, really. They suggested that, perhaps it's quite topical to have a full day dedicated to online. And it actually does make a lot of sense. So we're about to release the full program for that. And I think it's an exceptional program, Andrew. I mean, it's taken a long time to put it together and to get it right. But I love the look of this program. I mean, just some of the highlights off the top of my head. Jessa Fernandez, who runs the online division for Padcore, is our keynote speaker. And Jessa will also be on a panel with you, Andrew, talking about how to keep, long-term sustainability of the industry, really, how to develop, regulate a sustainable industry that will be sustained over many years, be good for all stakeholders, really. So looking forward to that. There's also a really interesting panel session, pretty high-powered panel session with Brian from PhilWeb. We've got Eric Su from DigiPlus. We've got Evan Spitmar from Casino Plus, all on a panel together talking about localization of games for the market, how to provide a product that is perfectly attuned to the local desires, local tastes of the Filipino people. So that'll be a really interesting one. And then a couple of panels in the afternoon. Just trying off the top of my head to look at. We've got one looking at the rest of Asia, Andrew. We've got an expert that can talk about Sri Lanka and India and that part of the world. We've got a couple of people who are all across the New Zealand licensing process that's happening now. And of course, all the regulatory things are happening in Australia right now. So we've got a representative from Entain. We've got Samuel Gauci from Addison's. So yeah, again, very, very interesting looking lineup there. I recommend people take a look at that program, which we might have released that later today, Andrew, potentially. So
quite possibly, if not Monday, but either today or Monday. Depends how the day rolls out, to be honest. We're so busy at the moment. Look, it's great that we're doing this day, and as you say, it was at Padcore's prodding. Padcore basically very much encouraged us to do this, and I think it was a no-brainer for us to say yes, because online gaming, we don't talk about it much in Macau, because obviously the Macau government doesn't like it at all. The Chinese government doesn't like it at all. But the reality is that around the world, it's what everybody talks about in Europe and America. When I say America, I really should say the Americas. in Canada and even Latin America. And this is sort of a thing for the future. I mean, everything's going online. Why not gaming, right? And online gaming it's very different to land-based or bricks and mortar gaming, as we sometimes call it. And I think we don't have much of it. We don't have legal much of it in Asia. We have a hell of a lot of illegal black market online gaming going on in Asia. But the Philippines is really the place where there is at least this industry, and it's the place that we have to look to kind of understand this industry, because in years to come, this is going to be a very important part of the gaming industry. We can't bury our head in the sand and ignore it. And now with New Zealand having realized that, and now having approved a regime where they're going to be licensing up to 15 or giving up to 15 licenses, with as many as 3 licenses per company. So a company can have 3 different brands potentially. New Zealand's a little different from the Philippines. The Philippines is, some people around the world see the Philippines a bit as the wild, wild west. We actually know it's actually a lot better than that. But some people see that. But no one sees New Zealand as that. Everyone sees New Zealand as a first world, modern economy, and they're doing it. So I think, green shoots for the online gaming industry in Asia. I think there's sort of green shoots there, and who knows, over the next few years we may see it. We may see a place like perhaps, I don't know, Malaysia or heaven forbid even Thailand, or because there was talk of online gaming in Thailand when there was talk of the integrated resorts in Thailand. We might even see in Australia that does have online sports betting. We might even see in Australia turn around one day and go, well, if New Zealand can do it, we can do it. Australia always sees itself as better than New Zealand. So if New Zealand's doing something that they're not, I just got a feeling it might be coming. I don't know if in putting together this conference, Ben, this summit, I should say, you've got any sense of that?
So well, it's just stopping Willow from digging through everything as we.
See, just at the moment I asked you a question, your assistant decided to get involved.
Yes. It's interesting, Andrew, because right now in Australia, we're actually seeing a lot of discussion around the issue of smoking, of the tobacco excise that has seen the price of cigarettes in Australia basically triple over the past 10 years. Okay, she's comfortable now. Yeah, so the price of cigarettes in Australia, I think, is around about $60 Australian a packet, which is huge.
Insane.
It's about $40 US roughly. And what that has naturally done is spurn a massive illegal, illicit industry. And there's gangs and there's fire bombings of tobacco stalls. There's all sorts of crime going on directly as a result of these cheap cigarettes that are being sold and produced by the gangs. So. It's quite.
Well, let me interrupt you there. I'd reframe that and say it's directly a result of the effective prohibition that yes. Those high prices have created, right?
And what we're actually seeing over the past week or two in Australia is a genuine conversation emerge among the political community, and certain sides of politics are saying time to bring that price down because this is the only way to stop what's happening. Ironically, at the same time as there is a push to completely ban gambling advertising. So they seem to be learning their lesson in one sense, but have learned nothing on the other side. So, I think that there may come a tipping point one day on the gambling side where the same magical realization takes place here in Australia. We'll see.
They might have an epiphany that we've been telling them about for 10 years.
Exactly right. Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, look, you've selected a number of stories. We better get into the stories, I guess, or else this will go far too long. You've selected a number of stories for us to talk about this week. It's a great selection. So let's get into that. So, Oscar, what's first? Okay, Ben, you can introduce them all.
Well, this is what we were mentioning before, Andrew. We were talking about reinvestment. So Las Vegas Sands, in some meetings with Seaport earlier this week or late last week, mentioned the fact that they've got no plans to reduce their reinvestment spend. They're willing to take this fight up for premium customers. And they've sort of detailed their plans around that. The interesting thing around it, of course, is as we were saying, everybody's been complaining about the squeezing of margins, this reinvestment fight. Sands said last year that they probably weren't in the fight enough, and so they needed to get more aggressive. What's sort of happening in the market right now is that with this this competition for premium mass players, you're seeing all sorts of, you might even call it dirty tactics between companies. We know that there are all sorts of incentives being offered to lure players from one property to another. We're seeing hosts being incentivized to steal players and bring them to another property. They basically get a cash kickback. I've heard rumors that there are hosts between properties doing deals that they can bring a player across and go halves in the bonus that they get, and then try and bring them back again. There's all sorts of stuff going on that's just increasing the amount of investment that has to go in, and as a result, squeezing margins. So, I mean, looks like that's not going to end anytime soon.
Wow, but pretty intense competition. They talk about intense competition, and when it gets down to that sort of stuff, you've got a very hyper competitive environment, and the winner is the player.
Yeah, that's right. So it's I mean, this is the one thing in Macau at the moment. And when we talk about the fact that without VIP, profitability is improved, then the reinvestment spend is sort of taking care of that profitability and whacking it over there straight away. So it's probably a market that should be more profitable, but because of the competition that we're seeing at the moment, it probably isn't as profitable as it should be. Still highly profitable. It's not a market you'd say no to, is it, Andrew? But the margins are probably quite compressed compared to where the operators would really like to see them.
I mean, this happens in many industries. This is sort of our version of a price war, isn't it? In our industries, this happens in many industries. So I think at some stage it'll settle down. They might get together and wiser heads might prevail, but I think they probably need to have a bit of a fight first to test the fitness of everybody, and who, if there's anyone who falls by the wayside, well, so be it. And then, but the thing is, in Macau, that's never going to happen. So it's interesting. They're kind of cutting off their nose to spite their face. Memories of it wasn't called that. That's another agreement. What was it called? It was called the Cotai Pact. That's right. Memories of the Cotai Pact come to mind back in, oh God, when was it? 2011, 2012 or something, when the DICJ actually brokered that agreement between the junkets at the top rolling that would be paid would be it was 1.3%. Was it 1.2 plus 0.1? It might have been 1.2 in cash plus 0.1 in comps, or maybe it was 1.3 in cash. Can't remember, but maybe something like that will happen at some stage once they all realise that it's not great for everybody. Then again, some of them will turn around and say, what are you talking about? This is fine. This is normal business. So I think the problem is that there's not general agreement amongst the six on whether this is rational or irrational, is there?
Well, Lawrence Ho has spoken extensively. He uses the word rational quite regularly, and he's probably been the most vocal critic of the current situation. So yeah, he again came out during their earnings call and said he wants to see rational spending. So what he's seeing at the moment with this, deliberately undermining your opposition to bring players across and using hosts, that's sort of what he sees as irrational, or what other companies see as irrational. So what is rational, what is irrational is probably a fine line, as you say. I think there's probably some argument between the operators as to where that line stands exactly. But well, look, it gives me something to write about, Andrew, so that's not too bad.
Well, it's the issue at the moment in Macau, isn't it? And Macau is the biggest market by far. You're talking about a 32, 33, 34 US billion-dollar market, when the second biggest market in Asia is. So, I mean, that's the thing to talk about, isn't it? All right, well, let's move on. What's next, Oscar? Just a quick one. As you mentioned, Jessa being the keynote speaker at the CIG Idea Summit. I do believe the chairman of PADCOR will be in the audience, so that'll add a little bit of pressure to Jessa to perform well. The chairman, of course, the keynote speaker the next day at the IAG Academy Summit, starting on the Tuesday. But the Monday, the 14th, is this one-day online gaming summit, the CIG Idea Summit. People may ask what idea is. I think it's what is it? It's Development and Exchange Asia, iGaming Development and Exchange Asia, or something we contrived to come up with the idea. So and hopefully we have a lot of good ideas kicking around that day, and it's great to see companies like PhilWeb, DigiPlus, SumSub are all sponsoring. Of course, we've got Tanet from Arden Consult as our official legal partner. They do a lot of work in this industry in the Philippines. So great to see Jessa, the head of online gaming at Padcore, fronting up to give the keynote. The first, speech, or the first speaking part of the day, and introducing it. It's good to have the support of Padcore for this event, Ben.
Yeah, and I'll give a shout out to QTech Games, who have since joined as a sponsor as well, a session sponsor of 2 sessions during this summit. So, as you said, Phil Webb, DigiPlus, SumSub, QTech Games have all jumped on board, which is great. And just sort of as an observation ourselves, Andrew, just the level of interest I've seen in this event has really soared over the past couple of weeks. I think a lot of people have, it's a brand new event we're holding, but I think a lot of people have caught wind of it just sort of recently, and suddenly we're seeing a lot of people register quite keen to be part of this.
Yeah, it's always the way. Whenever we create something new, everybody ignores it until they don't. And then at the end, suddenly it's like, oh, wow, this is on, right? And there's a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out, because it's going to be a great day. I mean, I guarantee it's going to be a really good quality day. And I'm sure this event, which we will have next year on the 13th of September, on Monday, the 13th of September, 2027. We already know the date. What this event already we know will repeat next year, and I'm sure it'll be even bigger and even better. But this one this year will be fantastic as well. All right, let's move on to the next one, Oscar. Aussie Millions, April dates. I'm actually off to Crown later today to meet with some people down there to talk about the Aussie Millions. The 2027 Aussie Millions April dates announced after the big success of last year that you and I were both at, Ben.
Yeah, a few weeks earlier this next year, Andrew. So I guess they've just sort of found the most appropriate place in the calendar to put on the Aussie Millions. Huge success last year. Should point out too that we've got a couple of the Crown representatives coming to the IAG EXPO, and David Sy, the Crown Resorts CEO, will of course be doing a bit of a fireside chat with you, Andrew, at the IAG Summit. I know that Harold is coming over to attend as well, so I look forward to catch up with Harold. Of course, Harold's had a lot to do with the Aussie Millions here, himself and Dan, really the force behind it, putting it together. And look, I think, such a good event this year, Andrew. Looking forward to attending again next year.
Oh, look, I think it's going to be great. I mean, as we just said about our own event, the first year people wake up to it, the second year it's even bigger. So this, last year was kind of the first year of the relaunch of the Aussie Millions after a 6-year hiatus. Big success, and I'm quite sure that we can take the numbers from 2025 and, well, I don't want to say double them, that would be too much, but I think we can probably say, plus, you'd have to think plus 30% at least. I think after the success, of it. So, I think that would be a big, it would be a good estimate of what it would be. So the numbers will be very good as well. Yes. So here we go. A message from our regular viewer, the Pirate. Pirate 7089 says $1.5 billion apartment tower opposite Crown Blackstone Melbourne Casino Hotel. One approval from the state government to be home to the Hong Kong-based Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group. Wow, I did not know that. So that is interesting. So Mandarin Oriental, the MO coming to Melbourne opposite Crown. That'll be great for Crown to have another hotel, even if it's not theirs. It'll be great to have a hotel of that caliber right there. So I guess that's the property just across the road across Queensbridge Street, I'm guessing. But it doesn't really matter where it is, as long as it's nice and close to the eastern end of the Crown. That'll be great for them.
It sort of reminds me, Andrew, a couple of years ago when SAR was looking to develop think of like a 6-star hotel right alongside Star in Sydney there, and it actually got knocked back at the time. I know there are a few rumblings around that. So, it's always good when you get a hotel development approved alongside.
Thanks to Pirate 7089 for that info. We should look into that, Ben, next week, and maybe do some stories on it or find out a little bit more about it. I know people are Mandarin Orientals, as I think you do as well. So I think we can see pretty easy for us to maybe get some information about that, see what they're prepared to say at this stage. That's super interesting. All right, let's move on to the next one, Oscar. Yeah, a little bit of fun and games from SkyCity here.
There's a lot going on at SkyCity at the moment, Andrew. They're obviously in the midst of what do they call it, an asset monetization program. So they're selling off some assets in Auckland. they announced last week that they'll be conducting a strategic review into SkyCity Adelaide, which has been underperforming for quite a few years. And amidst all of this, it emerged that early this year they received 2 takeover bids. I think the prices were around about 70 cents a share and 75 cents a share. I think Oaktree was involved in one, and a Sydney billionaire who's involved in pubs and clubs was, I think he owns a couple of maybe the Reef Casino. It was involved with the other one, but so SkyCity never actually.
What was the company name? The other one?
Well, it was Sam. What's his name? Sam. No, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Owns a lot of gaming venues across Australia. So apparently he was behind one of those bids. The SkyCity apparently had a quick look at it, decided it didn't really value the company appropriately, said no at the time, but come back to us later with something better if you want. So we'll see how that plays out.
And they announced this, right? They announced that these 2 bids had been rejected, right?
Well, they didn't announce it at the time, actually. It only announced this week after media reports revealing it, and SkyCity came out and said, actually, I mean, that in itself is interesting, whether they should have perhaps announced that at the time. Interesting. Very interesting.
I wonder if they're trying to drum up more offers. I guess they probably are. Might be a bit of fun and games there. Yeah, Adelaide doesn't make any money. I heard Adelaide kind of maybe breaks even, doesn't really make any money for SkyCity. And Auckland doesn't do that well either, to be honest with you. They actually make good money from their small, the other ones in New Zealand. I mean, what is it? Is it Hamilton? I've forgotten now. And don't they have one down in Queenstown? Is that or Christchurch or something? Now, they used to be. Yeah. Christchurch was a different company. They had one in Queenstown. And
I haven't actually been to those properties. So.
Yeah, well, they're only little. I think they had 6 or something. The numbers are relatively small. I think it only throws off 150 million New Zealand, even maybe its profit a year or something like that. So our numbers are relatively small. So they're smaller properties with low costs and very simple operations. Might actually be a little bit profitable. I mean, obviously SkyCity Auckland would be somewhat profitable. We should look at it. I shouldn't just sprout things without looking at the numbers. Apologies to the SkyCity people. Might have a bit of a look at that and come back next week with some more accurate numbers. But do we have any numbers in the Oscar? Just scroll down. Do we have any numbers in the first few paragraphs there? I think we had offer prices, didn't we? Or value what they would value the company at. There it is.
Well, just scroll back down, Oscar.
Yeah, valuing the company between NZ 772 and 822. I say 800. So that's kind of like not even $500 million US, just under $500 million US. Well, that's because the difficult business environment at the moment. I mean, New Zealand's going through just as much as Australia, right? With all of the business environment for them at the moment.
Yeah, look, SkyCity reported their results last week, and that's exactly right. They're pretty hampered now by everything that's going on, the difficult business environment, the Middle East conflict, and fuel prices, and all of these things are affecting everybody around the world. So I guess these bids are sort of coming in to try and take advantage of that at a pretty cheap valuation. But I mean, certainly SkyCity Auckland is the flagship for this group. I mean, that's probably the one that does generate reasonable profits. I think, as you say, Adelaide is struggling, and the other 2, a lot smaller.
Well, Oscar, can you make that a little bit bigger, Oscar? It's just a little bit too small for me to read. SkyCity last week reported 16 decline in EBITDA to NZ 120 million. So is that company-wide? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
120 million New Zealand. Gee, and that's EBITDA. What about financing costs? Interesting. Well, they might be ripe for takeover, mightn't they? Somebody might Sue Kim might turn up on the doorstep and say, here's another one I can pick up. Yeah, I mean, sort of thing that he might like. I mean, he's big on those distressed assets, isn't he? And I mean, I wouldn't describe them as distressed. We're not just far from it, right? But I mean, they're still throwing off 100 million plus EBITDA, which is good. I wonder what the ITDA is, the interest, the taxes, depreciation, amortization is, and whether they're making money or not. Bottom line. Yeah, that's interesting. Many patrons find Adelaide's financial declaration form asks for too much information. We've been seeing a bit of that around the world, haven't we? Of players rejecting, play in not just Australia but in other places as well. In Adelaide, it's old too. Adelaide. I mean, I remember when I first went in there when did it open? 85, I think, at the railway station there. So, it had a renovation. I got a tour a few years ago of it. It's got that nice EOS hotel. Yeah, interesting. All right, so that's interesting. Let's keep our eye on SkyCity as a company. Perhaps we can dig a bit deeper and talk a bit more about them next time. All right, Oscar, let's move on to the next one. Could be an interesting one. And there's the chairman. Had some unfortunate news this week.
Well, I mean, I think this is just sort of continuing the narrative that we've seen in the Philippines recently. Pagcor, just like, this is very similar to a number he gave a little while, a couple of months ago on industry GGR. He expects to fall by about 19% this year. So the Pagcor income falling by 18% is sort of right in line with that. That's sort of looking at the decline in online gaming, the challenges faced in the premium segments in the land-based. One thing that he did point out, though, and that I also highlighted in a story a few weeks ago, was that in Q2, there was a little bit of an uptick in land-based, actually. So the integrated resorts, the licensed resorts in the Philippines, did show some positive momentum in the second quarter, and apparently that's continued through July and August. So there may be a little bit of sunshine on the horizon there, Andrew. But look, just as we're just talking about New Zealand and the challenging environment, same in the Philippines at the moment.
That's interesting. So the downward trajectory, it's all online then.
Well, I mean, it's coming off a very high base last year because the delinking of e-wallets happened sort of mid-year last year.
Of course, that was
so the first half of last year is a pretty tough comparison for the industry, given that it's declined on the back of that delinking and other regulations.
So if nothing happens next year, that year on year will have lapped. And it'll be a bit more really. It's not really comparing apples with apples there, are you?
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, maybe I'll be interested to see even the second half of this year will be a little bit of a better comparison because that delinking happened around June or July last year. Right.
There was some talk at one stage of trying to get that back, but that talk seems to have died down, doesn't it?
Well, I spoke to the chairman in Barcelona at ICE in February, and he mentioned to me that Pagcor was putting together a position paper that called for that to be put back in for linking of licensed sites through e-wallets. They're quite adamant that's the best way to direct players to licensed sites rather than illegal sites. So I actually have to ask him when I see him, in a couple of weeks' time, whether that position paper ended up being submitted and if there was any outcome. To find out how that all progressed.
I wonder if he'll say anything about it in his keynote. If he does, great. If he doesn't, we'll ask him. And actually, I'm going to be interviewing him at G2E in Las Vegas as well in early October. Late September this year, I should say. All right, Oscar, let's move on. Next one. This is up your alley, Ben, in New South Wales.
Yeah, well, we've spoken a lot about what's been happening with the casino sector here in Australia. The pubs and clubs have sort of had a pretty good run of it in that time, not really facing the same restrictions or regulations. I think that is starting to change now. And as we saw this week, the New South Wales government announced some new reforms around gaming machines aimed at, everything in Australia is about harm minimisation, right? That's always the discussion here in Australia. So that's sort of the goal here. So they're cracking down on VIP programs, reward programs that reward players for play. They want facial recognition technology in every venue so that excluded players cannot come in. I think that the aim is to have that sort of connected through every venue to a central database so that you can if you walk into any venue when you're excluded, that you will be denied entry. And a few other various reforms in that regard. So now we've also seen there's a bit of a push in New South Wales to reduce the number of gaming machines as well. So under these reforms, there are certain ways that entitlements will be reduced under certain circumstances, particularly if you're looking to move machines from one place to another. I think you'll basically be allowed to remove 2/3 of them and sacrifice the rest. So I think there's almost 90,000 machines in New South Wales, possibly more, or 87,000 in pubs and clubs. So the goal is to get that down a little bit.
Yeah. There are a lot of machines, and yes, that's why we have to concede that. All right, next one, Oscar. Yeah, SGM's results came out. I'll let you talk on this one, Ben. I'll be back in just about 1 minute.
No problem. Well, the SJM story continues. Obviously, the loss widened to, I think it was around 295 million Hong Kong from memory for the quarter. It's widened from around 150 odd the previous year. Well, of course, this is the first 6-month period for SJM without any satellite casinos, and that's, of course, affected their GGR. And the cost issue is really related to the fact that all of those satellite staff, they've had to retain those staff. They've had to bring them across. The government mandates that you cannot just get rid of them. You have to maintain your staff. Interestingly enough, actually, is I wrote a story subsequent to this the following day, following SJM's earnings call, that they've actually reduced their staff count since the start of the year by about 10%. So obviously, as people move somewhere else, they don't replace them. People retire, they don't replace them. I think that will go on for a little while until SJM get their staff count down to where they really need it to be. So yeah, I mean, I think there are positives and negatives for SJM. I think the loss is not expected. The loss is expected. The higher expenses, no surprise. But actually, revenue across all the venues was higher. So that's a positive for SJM moving forward.
Yeah, I was listening to you while I was away. What about the tables? The tables that from the satellites? Some of them were in storage because now they've got, what is it, 1,600, 1,700 tables or something of the 6,000. They're the biggest of all the concessionaires because when those 6,000 tables were allocated in late 2022 for the next 10-year period from January 23 to December 32, those satellites were in place, and remember there was a 3-year extension for the satellites, and those satellites were in place. So they've got 1,600, 1,700 tables, haven't they? That's a lot of tables, and I know some of them probably in storage or whatever, but now they get to be reallocated amongst SJM's wholly owned properties, which are Lisboa, Grand Lisboa, Lark now, obviously Grand Lisboa Palace, and Oceanus. Is it just the 5? It is, isn't it?
I believe so, yes. Jai,
Yeah.
Oceanus.
Yeah,
And
one property.
those tables have really gone to 3 places. They've gone to put some more in Lark, I understand. They've obviously purchased off their parent company and are expanding the gaming space at Old Lisboa, which is there in the photo. And of course, Grand Lisboa Palace. I remember, Andrew, you and I walked around Grand Lisboa Palace, I don't know, a bit over a year ago. And there was quite a bit of vacant space on the main gaming floor, certainly large walkways. So I'm quite sure they're able to fill some of those spaces with the additional tables from those satellites. So yeah, I thought it was very interesting that, of course, GGR grew at Lark as that's come into the self-operated casino fold. But GGR also grew at Grand Lisboa, grew at Grand Lisboa Palace. So I guess that's their first thing, is keep growing revenue and keep getting those costs down, is their 2 goals looking forward. Pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah, challenge for Daisy Ho. I mean, it was interesting to chat with her a little bit at our MAD event that we held there at Grand Lisboa Palace. She's got a bit of a challenge ahead of her there with that. And there's some argument that about the tables. I mean, I know some of the other concessionaires would love to get their hands on those tables, particularly Wynn, I think. Haven't they only got like 570 or something like that? 580 tables. There's not many, and they're doing really well, Wynn, aren't they? Their numbers were pretty good this quarter, weren't they? They had is that one of the stories coming up?
Oh, I can't remember if I chose that one, Andrew, to be honest. But
all right, let's see if it comes up or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, let's move on. Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
I was going to mention quickly that, we did report that Wynn was the biggest market share gainer for the quarter in the second quarter. So, pretty good quarter for them.
Interesting, the tables, what the government will do about the tables. Maybe nothing, but there might be some arguments out there kicking around. I know some of the properties like Wynn and perhaps Galaxy, with Phase 4 as well. That's a monster of a property now. Anyway, we've said that before. Move on. What's next, Oscar? Oh, isn't this wonderful?
Yeah, I mean, Wynn Al Marjan Island keeps just unveiling little tidbits of information about the property, and they've got all these different
so
accommodations.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, this looks pretty.
So nice.
This looks pretty luxury there. This is. I'm sure this is where you'll stay when you're there, Andrew. In townhomes.
Absolutely.
Townhomes all better.
No,
and
I might get a Guernsey in there.
Yeah. Look, I know there's not too much to say about this other than this is more luxury accommodation, like super luxury accommodation with all sorts of suites and 1-2 bedroom places and butler service and all the stuff you sort of can expect that you're going to see at Wynn Al Marjan Island.
I mean, they're competing not with themselves, and obviously their own standard is already excellent. It's the industry. It's them and Marina Bay Sands as the top of the world in terms of service delivery. The Marina Bay Sands Pizer experience, VIP experience is I actually think it's maybe even a little bit better than Wynn. It's second to none. But Wynn has, as tradition, I mean, that's relatively recent. I mean, the Wynn has had that top position in our industry, and they maintain that service level standard in Vegas with 5,000 rooms at scale. They maintain it in Macau with, well, I don't know how many rooms they've got in Macau, 1,700 or something in Palace, and haven't they got 500 or 600 or something on the peninsula side? They maintain it in Boston Harbour, and they're going to be maintaining it in London with their small property that they've created in due course, although that's very tiny. But boy, are they going to outdo themselves at Al Marjan. People are telling me every reason why Al Marjan is going to fail. I'm just laughing at them. I think it's going to go gangbusters. I think it is going to be the bee's knees of our industry. And when it opens next year, if it does open in September, which is what they're saying now, I think the whole, Iran war thing's a bit of a red herring. I think it'll be fine. That's on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz. So, it's just going to be absolutely fantastic. And the team that they've got there, I went there in January. I walked into their office that they've got set up there. They've got a sort of a temporary office building, but it's still a nice building. It's still perfectly okay. I guess it's probably about 4 or 5 stories high or something. I might be getting that wrong, but decent office. I think they've got like 300, 400 people already on site working there. And I walked into the office and I knew about a dozen people who were there straight away, and they were all top people, some dragged out of retirement, some, I think what they're doing there and what they're putting together, I think it's just going to shock everyone. It's going to shock everyone when everybody's reading about it, but seeing is believing, right? When you actually go there yourself and you see it, it is a different kettle of fish. And I've already seen it, and I'm planning to try and get there in Q1 again for my 3rd trip. And they promised to give me the hard hat tour. I don't know if I'll need a hard hat at that stage. Maybe I will. And I think it'll just be great. And then this, what was that thing that they announced, that show that they announced? It was really creative and interesting and different. I've forgotten the name of it. The one Craig Billings was very involved in the announcement. Now giving this level of luxury, they're competing not with themselves and Marina Bay Sands, but they're competing with, the Burj. They're competing with all of the luxury. They're competing with, Jumeirah. They're competing with all of these. They're competing with Atlantis. They're competing with all these amazing. I mean, that Atlantis, the Palm, God, does it make some money? And it doesn't even have a casino. And it's just making money from hotel, sale of hotel rooms. I mean, I think I'm just guessing, but I think their ADR's got to be well over $1,000 a night for many hundreds of rooms. I guess they got I don't know, what have they got, 600, 700 rooms? Or maybe is it 1,500? Anyway, something like that. So I'm waffling on a bit now. I apologize, but I'm just sort of waxing lyrical about the standards in the UAE, the Middle East, are like nothing you see on this planet. And Wynn's got to compete with that. And so this sort of thing is exactly what they need to do to compete with that. So they're being smart. I think Max over there, I think Mr. Billings in Las Vegas. I think all of it's not just the leadership, it's the whole team. It's the whole leadership team and the whole execution team are doing a wonderful job over there. So I just can't wait to see this open, because I think it'll kick our industry up another level, Ben. I think this could well be the pinnacle. This could be the thing that everybody strives then the next company that comes along to build something, maybe in Japan, all right, the next thing in Japan will be like, this will now be the standard that you have to try and beat. So it's just fantastic. Sorry, I went on a bit much there, but I just think what they're doing there is amazing. And I think what even adds to that is the fact that who would have thought 10 years ago, who would have thought you would have been able to put a property like this in anywhere in the Middle East? I know the UAE is the most liberal country in the Middle East, but still, and what they've done there, it's fantastic. I cannot see why it is not reflected in their share price right now. I bet you it will be in a year or two's time after this thing opens and a few quarters results come along. So if you want to buy some stock, you can go. Obviously, we're not here to give stock advice, right? But Wynn Resorts, I mean, I'm buying it. Anyway, let's move on. I've gone on about it, but it's just fantastic. Oh, you went up to Papua New Guinea, Ben. we're sort of. I hope have Kevin Wilcox and Tim Shepherd won't mind me saying this, but we've gone from one extreme to the other.
Well, look, Tim tells me it's going to be very nice in this casino, actually. So
sure, it's going to be nice. I don't really mean
that. But it won't be Wynn Island.
UAE to PNG.
Yeah. Look, I did, Andrew. I went up to Papua New Guinea a couple of weeks ago. Not for this purpose at all. I actually went up for my mate's 50th birthday, who is working up in Papua New Guinea. And the first night we were there, I walked into the nightclub there, and who do I run into? Not expecting to see anybody that I knew in Papua New Guinea. I didn't know I knew anybody in Papua New Guinea. I see Kevin Wilcox, who of course I first met in Nepal when he was down there at Tiger Palace a number of years ago. Right. I went to the opening of Tiger Palace, and Kevin was there. Kevin has been working, of course, in India with Big Daddy as well, and now he's in Big Daddy casinos, and now he's in Papua New Guinea opening up Pacific Pearl. So this is obviously this is a bit of a joint venture between a local construction company and Tim Shepherd's Fortuna Investments. Tim, of course, was involved in the Nepal Tiger Palace development as well.
What is Tim not involved in?
That's true. I said to Tim, every time I speak to him, he's somewhere else in the world. So look, it's quite interesting what they're doing there. I mean, Port Moresby is an interesting place. I'd say a very undeveloped place, but it has got a very large Chinese expat community. It's got a very large Australian expat community, and it does have some very wealthy Papua New Guineans as well, Andrew. I mean, like we're saying, some other places in the world, there's a bit of a wealth disparity, but there is plenty of money there. There's a lot of mining money and timber money and various things happening in Papua New Guinea. And just driving around Papua New Guinea, you can see quite a bit of hotel development and things starting to happen in certain areas of the city there around Port Moresby. So look, very interesting. Small casino, but there's potentially big plans in the future. And the fascinating thing for Port Moresby is that they're going to have an NRL team in 2 years' time, in 2028, the PNG Chiefs. And that's going to be massive for that country in terms of exposure, the money it brings in, tourism, development, all sorts of things are going to come from that, because Papua New Guinea is the only country in the world, Andrew, where rugby league is the national sport.
Well, you hit the nail on the head in the two markets. The two obvious markets are the wealthy Chinese there. I mean, in the our own Scott Messenger saying strong regulatory group too. What does he mean by that, Ben? Help me out.
Well, I think he's saying that the Papua New Guinea regulator is coming to our event, so he's giving them.
Oh, of course, the Papua New Guinea regulator is coming to the IAG EXPO. Yes, that's right. We'll talk about that, and to the regulator forum on the Thursday, which we'll talk about at the end of this broadcast. Sorry, Scott, of course. But you've hit the nail on the head for the two markets. I mean, there's not going to be a tourism market. No one's jumping on a plane to fly to Papua New Guinea, right? But there are two very strong local markets. So I lived in Vanuatu for a while, many years ago, and spent some time flying around the Pacific, going to New Caledonia and places like this. And all of these Pacific nations, like everywhere in the world, the Chinese, they've got the money. Why have they got the money? Because they're the hard workers and they're entrepreneurial, right? I don't begrudge them that. I mean, but all through the Pacific, Fiji, you name it, right? You'll tend to find that, the Chinese, they own the supermarket, or they own the supply chains, or they own the petrol stations, or they own the whatever, right? So they tend to be the ones with the bit of money because they've worked hard over the generations and they've built up businesses. So I think you'll find that that's one market, and the other very obvious market, as you say, are Australians and New Zealanders working in oil and gas or whatever, or working in mining or those kind of like, production level businesses. So not much to do in Papua New Guinea, probably cashed up workers. I head down the casino. So look, good luck to Tim and Kevin. I think this is great. It shows entrepreneurial spirit, that getting something done, and I look forward to visiting there at some stage myself. And it's fun for us at IAG. We do say that we cover everywhere from the Middle East to the international dateline, and we're not scared of going to Papua New Guinea or Uzbekistan or Tajikistan or Myanmar or wherever it might happen to be in the interest of coverage. So well done for you covering this, Ben, even though you were there for your mate's 50th birthday. Did you go on the property at all, or was it not ready yet?
I didn't go on the property. Kevin did offer to give me a tour, but I actually just didn't get a chance. So I was literally there for 72 hours, so I didn't get a chance.
Right.
But I did drive past the property. I saw the property from the outside. So it's like a 3 or 4 minute drive from the centre of Port Moresby, really. Not very far, just along the coast as you drive sort of just outside of I don't know, I wouldn't even call Port Moresby a city. I'd call it a town. So out of the town centre. So yeah, it's quite a nice little spot it's got there overlooking the water. So it's that's quite a nice, modern, clean-looking building. I think
let's get some pictures from them when are they planning on opening?
Well, they're waiting to be licensed, so they're hoping that will happen soon. They're basically ready to open any time. Certainly hoping to open within this year for sure, possibly much earlier than that even. So that's a purely licensing issue. There's another group circling as well that would like to open an offshore casino on a boat, but they're not ready yet. I've heard the boat's not even in Papua New Guinea yet. They want to put the casino on, so that could be a while off, that one.
Maybe we can pressure the regulator at the IAG Expo to give them a license. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Just for a percentage of GGR, right, Andrew?
No. Don't even joke about that. No, we're not. We don't operate like that. So but it's good to see them doing this. And Port Moresby, I remember saying to you, Port Moresby's had casinos before, hasn't it? And you're telling me no, it hasn't. It was just in my head because they've been talking about it for so long, right? Decades, in fact.
Well, I think it was 2007 was when the law was passed that technically allowed casinos and some other forms of gambling, but it's never happened. It's never come to fruition. I believe I was reading back in time, I think there was something came close to coming to fruition in about 2011, but never did. There's been talk about it a few times, but this is the first time. I mean, we still don't have one yet. I mean, obviously the Pacific Pearl hasn't got a license yet, but it's built, it's sitting there ready to go. So I think it's only a matter of time.
Oh, well, good luck to them. And then when they do open, let's do some coverage of it, and hopefully the boys over there will send us some pictures or something. And at some stage too, that'd be good. So good luck to them in the development. We're always looking to support. Jokes aside, we're always looking to support people in the industry who are having a go and being entrepreneurial, whether it be Galaxy Macau, whether it be Port Moresby. Good luck to them. It's all part of the rich tapestry of the gaming industry in the Asia Pacific region. That was very poetic, wasn't it? All right, let's move on to the next. Pirates taking a slightly more cynical view there. Pages looking for other destinations. Well, there could be a bit of that. There could well be a bit of that, and that's actually when I say cynical, perhaps he might say practical. So that's a good point he makes. Actually, a really good point. There's a nice picture of Dennis.
Yeah, we announced yesterday, Andrew, our 5 Hall of Fame industry legend nominees for this year, special category at the IAG Academy IR Awards that we've held for the past few years. In 2020, what year are we in? 2024, we announced Kieran Carruthers as our first industry legend. Last year, Dennis Andriachi. So there are our 5 nominees for this year, Andrew: Grant Bowie, Rui Cunha, Linda Chen, Robert Goldstein, and Ken Jolly.
5 massive names in our industry, all with decades of experience. Probably the least known, the lowest key of those 5 is Rui Cunha. For those in the know, but he's intentionally taken a sort of a low-key approach. But I mean, all you need to say is Dr. Stanley Ho's lawyer in Macau for the last personal lawyer in Macau for the last 45 years, including, from now backwards 45 years, let's say. So that's all you need to say, and you immediately think, well, what has he seen over the years, and what contributions has he made to our industry? It's obviously very, very significant. So we're talking about long before the liberalisation. We're talking about 2 decades before the liberalisation. So can you think, when 40 years ago, 30 years ago, the contribution that Rui Cunha was making to the development of Macau and the ultimate liberalisation and so forth. So also, Grant Bowie, obviously, MGM China. I mean, I can go through them all, but I don't think I really need to, because they're all really well known. Linda Chen at Wynn forever. I wouldn't be surprised if her employee number was number 2, and Wynn and Steve Wynn's was number 1. I mean, she's been at Wynn, even including back in the Vegas days, for forever. Rob Goldstein, Sheldon Adelson's, became Sheldon Adelson's right-hand man, worked his way up through the, don't forget the works of the foundation. Absolutely. Good point, Scott. The Rui Cunha Foundation, established, I want to say maybe around 10 years ago. I'm just guessing there. But the Rui Cunha Foundation, established by Rui Cunha, there at Lam Dai Malo, the South Bay Road in English, everyone calls it Lam Dai Malo, right in the heart of Macau. It's a physical location, and free exhibition. It's kind of like a little museum, a little exhibition place. They have events there, all free, all for the people of Macau to develop Macau. So, good job there, Rui Cunha, for doing that. Rob Goldstein obviously became chairman and CEO of Sands after Mr. Ellison passed away, and it was obviously the key employee. Ken Jolly, what can you say about Ken Jolly that hasn't already been said? Started as Ben's having a coughing fit. Started as a tech, I believe, back in the probably starts with an 8, maybe even a 7. I'm not sure, quite sure. Probably an early 8. But Ken's obviously got an encyclopedic knowledge of the industry, probably, arguably, the leading executive in Australia and New Zealand in the supplier industry. I can't think of anyone with more experience and more, has worked for many of the companies. Ken's obviously played a really important role. He's around in the really early days of Macau, and for the supplier industry and the relationship between suppliers and operators. And Grant Bowie, Jupiter's, MGM Macau, and as I said, okay, there you go. I did cover them all, but I mean, all 5. I mean, any of those 5 could win. Any of those 5 could win. We just don't know. It's going to be one winner and one winner only. It's only one per year, and they will join Kieran Carruthers and Dennis Andriachi. It is our highest honor in the Hall of Fame. We have three categories in the Hall of Fame. We have the Rising Stars, and we pick 3 of them every year out of a list of about 10. And same thing for the industry icons, 3 from about 10. The Rising Stars have to be under 40 years of age, or they're allowed to turn 40 in the year of the event. So they've got to be turning 40 this year or turning less than 40 this year. And the industry icons are obviously people who've been around longer. And then this one, the industry legend, one only every year, somebody that's made a really lasting and strong contribution to the industry. And this is designed not so much for owners, but this is designed for executives. So, exciting to see who the judges will pick. We've got 100 judges on the judging panel, of course. And if you want to see those judges, just go to the IAG EXPO website and go to, I think it's Expo Awards Judges, and you can see those 100 judges. And they kind of pick themselves. We pick the first 100 people that meet the criteria that say they want to be a judge. We take them. So we don't set up who the judges are. And of course, anyone that works for, no, I'm not quite sure if we do that for the industry legend. I have to go back and have a look at the rules. But look, it's going to be a really fascinating process, and it will be announced on Tuesday, September 15, as the very last announcement of the gala dinner on that evening. So that'll be exciting, Ben, and you'll be there.
I'll be there, and I think Dennis will be there to give the hand over the trophy to the.
He will be.
All their representatives. So
yeah, like
Dennis there.
Dennis is going to hand on to whoever gets it. So hopefully we make that a little bit of a tradition. If we, you know, obviously maybe we can't always do that, but maybe whoever wins this year can hand to whoever wins in 2027. Yeah, and this is a great thing that we're doing. I think it's still relatively early years. It's not like the Power 50, which is enjoying its 19th year this year. The IAG EXPO is only enjoying its, well, let's say 5th year this year. It depends on how you define the start of the expo, to be honest. But this particular award is in its 3rd year. We didn't even want to start. The first couple of years, we just did industry icons and rising stars. We didn't think we were mature enough in this event yet to have an industry legend. And then in the 3rd year, we brought it in. So it's exciting. I'll be really looking forward to seeing how the judges go on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be very interesting. And I remember, Andrew, last year there was a great roar up in the room when Dennis was named. There was a great atmosphere there. So that was good.
It was exciting. It wasn't just, whatever. It was really well received, and there was it was exciting in the room. So it'll be exciting again on that night, on the September the 15th. It's a great dinner. It's a great event. It's very exciting and well produced. And if we do say so ourselves, we do a great job. And a shout out to our events team, Dorothy Lloyd, our director of events, and her team. They do a great job in putting all this together, and they're under a lot of stress and pressure right now, putting it all together. So shout out to them. They put on everyone who's there on that night. You will have a great night. It will be really, really fun. Anyway, let's move on. What's next? And the Korean, we've got some Koreans from Inspire coming to, from Paradise, actually, haven't we? We've got some Koreans from Paradise coming to IAG Expo too, haven't we?
We do. Yeah. So, I mean, this is I think this is the last story for today, Andrew, but a little bit of an interesting story. This plays to what's happening in Korea at the moment, with the ministry wanting to up the mandatory tourism levy that they charge on operators from 10% to 15%. And of course, the industry has made the argument that that's going to put a lot of pressure on them, that could impact reinvestment into their properties at a time when they're already a little bit stressed about the opening of MGM Osaka in 2030 and the effect that's going to have on the Korean industry. So the last thing they want right now is some more headwinds. And this is interesting because this was a story in the Korea Times this morning. The Korea Times held a roundtable with industry representatives this week in Seoul. And there were some interesting comments from one of the executives at Inspire, who was basically saying they're already facing some pretty tough financial challenges at the moment at Inspire, which have been well documented. This will only make that more difficult. And next year they need to refinance a pretty substantial loan. And he basically said, I'm not sure we'll be able to get that refinancing, or certainly not in favourable terms if this goes up, because they don't think the bank will look too good at this additional cost burden on us. So that was a very interesting comment, I thought, Andrew, looking forward from Inspire.
So it doesn't sound like much, 10%, 15%, but it's 5%. It's not 5% of profit; it's 5% of certain revenues, and so that affect. Wasn't there a calculation someone did that it looked like that would affect the bottom line by? Was it 27% that I read, Ben?
37% for one of the operators.
Wow, wow. So, thanks, Oscar. Industry analysts have warned that such an increase could hit profits by as much as 37% in 2026 alone and result in major scaling back of CapEx investment. I mean, God, the industry is already foreigner only, which, as we all know, makes it very, very difficult. Inspire's 1.6 billion, there it is, 1.6 billion in the story, $1.6 billion investment, which that's a lot for a foreigner only and in Korea. The GGR in Korea, it's only about $1 billion. I think it might be up to $1.5 billion, 1.6 billion, or something like that per year now. Maybe even getting up towards 2 now, because there's been some increases recently, hasn't there? But still, Macau's 33 billion. So, it is not a big industry. And 17 casinos, right, to share that 2 billion. So, and remember, Kangwon Land has got about half of it, a bit under half, actually. Everyone always says half, but I think it's about 42%. So the other 16 have to share the other, let's say 58% of that, let's say a little bit under 2 billion. So it's not a lot. It's not a lot of revenue. And then they whack this 5%. I mean, what's the government doing to them in there? Do they want investment or not? So I find this very disappointing and disheartening. And they've got, like, as you say, they've got the, MGM Osaka looming in 2030. It's not that far away, right? It's 4 years away, maybe under 4 years now. And that's looming. And we even have a session about this in the IAG Academy Summit at the IAG EXPO, don't we? I mean, who's speaking at that one, Ben?
We have Alex Kim from Paradise City will be there. We'll have Chen Si, who is the former CEO of Inspire, who knows that market very well. Of course, COO of Resorts World Sentosa now. And Jason Lee, who is a professor from Kangwon University as well, who's very knowledgeable about the industry over there as well, and works closely with some of the regulators there. So that's going to be a really interesting panel delving into this exact issue, as you're saying. We'll talk about the levy. We'll talk about MGM Osaka and the impact that will have. We'll just talk about the general operating conditions in Korea and whether there's any appetite moving forward for locals play. Actually, we had a session last year where I asked Chen and Alan Teo about that. Of course, in Vietnam, Alan Teo's down there at Hoi An. In Vietnam, they started bringing in some locals play to some properties. I asked Chen at the time a year ago whether he saw that happening in Korea, and he said, well, not really, unless there's something that triggers it. So the question now is, will this be what triggers it? Will 2030 be what triggers that move?
Well, it would be probably, it's going to be the biggest shock to the Korean integrated resort industry for decades, because all those Japanese will just go to Japan. They won't be going to Korea, and it will also suck Koreans with 2 passports away. It will attract them away from Korea as well. They'll travel to Japan. It's so easy to get to Japan from Korea. I mean, they're right next door to each other. So that will also, it'll hurt them in both directions. Alex is the COO of Paradise, right?
CMO,
is he? Right. So, because I'm used to his Korean name, not his English name. You got the CMO of Paradise, and you've got the former COO of Inspire. So the 2 big integrated resort companies in Incheon there are represented. And obviously Chen was there for a long time, so he knows what he's talking about. Quite good of Resorts World to allow him to speak on Korea. So that's going to be a great little panel. And tell me a bit about the guy from the university, Ben. How did we get onto him?
He actually approached us, Andrew, just wanting to attend the event. He was quite keen to come along and take a look at the program. And I started having a chat to him, and figured out that he knew a lot about what was going on in Korea, and he has close dealings with the regulator, particularly in Jeju. And realised he'd be a great addition to this panel. So he'll and he emailed me the other day to say he's been doing a lot of extra research and talking to some operators and getting in preparation. So I think it's going to be. I'm moderating that panel, Andrew. I'm really looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be fascinating. Plus, I love a session when there's just so much to talk about. There's going to be no problems at all. It's going to be full of really high quality discussion, I think.
Yes, I've been planning to get to Korea for ages. I haven't been for quite a few years, and I tried to get there this year, but just couldn't make it. So I'm trying to get there next year, probably in Q1. I would say maybe early Q2. Q1 it'll be cold. It'll be snowing up there, but I'm really looking forward to doing a good solid 10-day trip to Korea. I want to go to Jeju. I want to go to all the properties in Jeju. I want to go to Kangwon Land, obviously Inspire and Paradise City, but also up to Seoul, to Walker Hill. I have a really, really good look around Korea, because I think a couple of things, right? First of all, you've been reporting that the revenues have been going up. So obviously Chinese are going there from northeastern China. And secondly, there is this systemic sort of structural thing on the horizon about MGM Osaka and what effect that will have. And is the government even aware of that? and could maybe locals gaming be on the horizon in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out. So find out more about that next year, and I think we'll do a bit of career stuff next year, I think. All right. Ben thinks that's the last story, Oscar. Is he right? He is. All right. We've talked quite a bit about IAG EXPO, so I don't think we need to talk too much. But let's just quickly run through the schedule. So, yes, didn't we cover this story, Ben? Or we certainly talked about it. Did we end up covering it?
We didn't cover it, but we had a chat about it. It's
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive effort by the 16-year-old. Apparently, his mum was with him on some of these trips, which is I find quite amazing.
I said I shouldn't joke about these things, but I'm going to. I'm going to. I said he must be a legend amongst his mates. A 16-year-old boy getting into the casino, drinking, whatever. I mean, anyway, I shouldn't encourage such behaviour. But yeah, that was one. Why didn't we cover it in the end? Were we just too busy?
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on that day, so I thought. Now there's been, I think those properties have copped a lot of wax recently, so I thought I'd give them a break.
Give them a break, yeah.
Once.
And Pirate mentions that Bruce Matheson Jr., who I met last week, actually, a week before I had a meeting with him, hosting a VIP patron dinner at the Ritz-Carlton Melbourne on the 12th of September. Well, okay, that's nice, and so he should. So he had a meeting with Bruce and the new CEO of Crown Star Sydney, John Costa, and another gentleman, David Curry, another senior executive there. Nice guys, really nice guys, and had lunch with them and had a bit of a tour of the property. And had a good look around Crown Sydney as well. And I was in Crown Melbourne last week, had some good meetings with senior executives, including CEO of Crown Resorts, David Tsai, who'll be joining us for that fireside chat in the expo, and some other people as well. Caught up with Sue Kim, the chairman of Star and the chairman of Bally's, and had a very long and good chat with him. So anyway, back to the expo. Let's just do a quick rundown. So we've got the CIG Idea Summit on the Monday, September 14, starts at 9:30 for coffee. And so we'll have that full day, 1 day summit, finishes, I think, around 5 o'clock. And then we'll all go off to the MAD, the welcome event, the MAD at the Grand Bar and Lounge. It's going to be huge. We've got 21 companies sponsoring that event. So all their people will be there. And of course, lots of other people will be there. I mean, last year we had the MAD at Casa Buenas. It was well over 200 people there. In fact, I think it was pushing 300 people. And I think we'll get a similar. I think we've moved it to Grand because Grand's got more space. So it'll be at the Grand Bar and Lounge on the Grand Wing side of Newport World Resorts. Two sides to Newport World Resorts, the Garden Wing and the Grand Wing. And that'll be then Tuesday, we'll have the beginning of the IAG Academy Summit, Tuesday and Wednesday, 2-day event. Keynote speaker, the chairman of PADCOR, and I'll be chairing the first day. You'll be chairing the second day, Ben. Well, we should mention that CIG senior contributing editor Kelsey Wilhelm will be chairing the CIG Idea Summit, as he should, because he's CIG. So he's putting together Complete iGaming each day for us, and obviously it's a team effort, but he's taking the lead on that as you take the lead in putting together breakfast briefing every day for IAG. So that'll be a 2-day event. And then at the end of day one, of course, we'll all nick up to our rooms, probably have a quick shower and throw the tux on and head down to the IAG Academy IR Black Tie Gala dinner, our awards Black Tie Gala dinner at the Marriott Manila Ballroom, same venue as last year. So most of the stuff this year is at the Hilton Ballroom, where we had the event in 23 and 24. But the gala dinner is at the Marriott Manila Ballroom because it's bigger, and that will be packed. There will not be an empty seat in the house, and that will be absolutely packed. It'll be a great night, and it'll be the highlight, the social highlight. Anyway, that's for sure. Will be that Black Tie Gala dinner. Then back for day 2. of the IAG Academy Summit, and maybe just a few quick highlights, Ben, off the top of your head of the program. When we talked about the Idea Summit, but what about the main IAG Academy Summit? Some highlight sessions for you?
Well, we've got Chairman Tenko will give the keynote on day one. We mentioned
Yep.
David Sy, a fireside chat with you, Andrew. Of course, we've got the Japan effect on North Korea, on Korea. Sorry, that'll be an interesting session. We've got a really interesting operator session. We'll have Greg Hawkins from Solaire, from Bloomberry. We'll have Sean Knights from Newstar and Rod Hackman from Hahn all together on a panel. We'll have our regular suppliers panel. So Annie Chan from Aristocrat, Dave Punter from Konami, and Phil Stormont from Light and Wonder will be on that. That should be a bit of fun, that panel. We've also got a really interesting one, Andrew, called Metro Manila Gaming, where we're going to take a bit of a look.
See, that's a good example of us doing something different. Nobody else would do that, but we thought of that. Explain that to everyone. That's a good one.
So, I mean, we often talk about Manila and we talk about Entertainment City and the big four, but there's more going on in Manila than those. We've got Salt Lake Resort North, of course, opened a couple of years ago up there in Quezon City. We've got, I feel like it's two years. I'm thinking.
It's 3, but you're probably right. Anyway, go on.
I think it's 2. So we've got that there. Of course, we've got Winford. We've got Levy, and of course we've got these bingo halls that are everywhere in Manila. You see them all over the place.
Yeah.
So we're bringing together some of the representatives of some of those places to have a bit of a chat about the unique offerings of these places. Damien Quayle from Soleil North will be on that panel. Jeff Avora from Winford will be joining us. And of course our good friend Pepe Costa from FBM, who run a lot of those bingo halls and certainly supply machines to hundreds of them across Manila, across the Philippines. So
everyone loves Pepe. He's always got a smile on his face. He's a great guy.
Great guy, actually. Went and visited him at the FBM office early this year and got a bit of a tour of some of the bingo halls with his team. And very hospitable. And it'll be great. I think that'll be a lot of fun, that panel. It'll be very interesting too.
It'd be interesting because that's something that doesn't get much coverage. It's not, sexy, so-called sexy, because everyone wants to talk about Entertainment City, and maybe they want to talk about Clark as well, and maybe even what's going on down in Cebu with Newstar. But there is good, viable gaming industry business in the suburbs of Metro Manila. I mean, we're using the Australian term suburbs. They don't say suburbs in Manila, but we're stealing that term. But of course, what we really mean is in Metro Manila, outside of Entertainment City, because Filipinos, they will tend to stick to their area. Metro Manila is a city of some, well, depends how you count it, but isn't it something stupid like 15 million, at least 10 million people? So it is a huge, huge city. It can at times take you best part of a whole day to drive from one edge to the other edge. You hear about people, when the traffic's bad, it can be 3 hours to get from anywhere to anywhere. So there's good reason for people to stay in their areas, and therefore, if they tend to stay in their areas, they will play in their areas as well. And Quezon City is a great example. Solaire North at Quezon City, they call it Solaire Quezon City now. They don't call it Solaire North anymore. But that was an inspired decision by Mr. Enrique Rizon, the richest man in the Philippines, and the power behind Bloomberry and Solaire. Putting that property there, he, as a Filipino himself, understood the dynamics of the city of Manila and the fact that, hey, if I put this property up here, I'm going to capture this whole Quezon City population of some 3 million people who maybe many of them, they don't want to go down to Entertainment City. It's too far. It'll take too long. So there's really good business there. So that's going to be an interesting panel and not one you would see on any other trade show because other people wouldn't think of that. So that's going to be interesting. I'm interested to hear what DQ or Damien Quayle, I should say, and Pepe and Jeff Avora from Winford, what the three of them will say about the dynamics of that industry, because I genuinely don't know as much as I should know about that. So I'm interested in hearing what they've got to say. Pirates jumped in again with many former Crown and Star staff working in the Philippines. Absolutely, a lot of people working in the Philippines. Crown and Star staff working in the Philippines. And then finally, on the Thursday, we have our regulators forum, which is by invitation only. It's only for regulators, but we are sort of a little bit marketing it to let people know that we do that. That's in partnership with Padcore. We and Padcore have partnered together on that offering. It's not just sponsored by Padcore, endorsed by Padcore, but we're actually partners in that event, Padcore and IAG. And this was at Padcore's instigation. Padcore came to us and said, Paul McCauley asked, will the interview with Star Entertainment Management be available to online interview soon? I've got some bad news for you, Paul. It wasn't an interview. It was just a meeting. It was a precursor. But we will be doing Star Entertainment Management interview in due course. We are certainly planning on approaching them for an interview. I'm sure they're going to say yes. And it's in the works, but we have some major coverage coming there. So you are going to get some information out of IAG about what their vision is for the future and so forth. That is coming. Anyway, before I answer that comment, what was I talking about, Ben? Just remind me. What was I saying in the middle?
You're talking about the Regulators Forum.
Oh, the Regulators Forum, right. So Padcore asked us to put together the Regulators Forum, and we've put that together now. This is the second year, and we'll do it every year now. It's by invitation only, and we've invited we've invited Asia Pacific regulators. So first year we pretty much just had Padcore in Cambodia. This year we've got quite a few more. Next year we'll have even more. So we're building that up as a regular on the Thursday of the IAG Expo each year to have the regulators forum, get all the regulators from the Asia Pacific region together to exchange ideas. And I think it's important the regulators get together, more important than it used to be years ago, because there's so much cross border stuff going on now, Ben, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that springs to mind is this issue we've been writing about with scam centres popping up around the region. And obviously there's a lot of cooperation between not just gaming regulators, but all sorts of agencies, interagencies, both within country and across border. So, yeah, that's absolutely right, Andrew. And, yeah, so it's going to be very important, this Regulators Forum, to bring people together.
Yeah, and that'll be a growing event. You know, often a lot of our events start off good and then get better. So it's got to grow from year to year as people get to know about it. Finally, one thing I did mention her, but I want to shout out again to Tanette from Arden Consult. She's been really helpful in helping us put together the CIG Idea Summit, particularly because that's a specialist area of hers. She is in our expert contributor program. We made an announcement earlier this year that she was the first in our expert, and currently only, we will have some more, official expert contributor for IAG and CIG, Complete iGaming. And so a big thank you to Tanette for the efforts that she's put in helping to bring that summit together, and we'll continue to work with her in the years ahead. So thank you, Tanette, for that. If you're watching, if you're not watching, somebody will tell her that I said that, hopefully, even if it's me. I think that's about it, Ben. I think we're wrapped up for this week, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. That's I think we've covered everything quite extensively.
Yeah, that was a long one. So not as long as our longest ever, but that was a long one. So look, thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a great weekend. It's only 2 weeks to go to the IAG Expo, and next Friday's IAG Live I'll be in Manila. Ben, you think you'll still be in Sydney, right? Just that'll be the last one. You'll still be in Sydney. And then the next one will both be in Manila.
Yes, we will. Actually, I'll be in Clark.
Oh, right. You'll be in Clark. Yeah, anyway, we'll figure that out. And we'll figure that out as time goes on. So anyway, have a great weekend. Say bye, Ben.
Bye, Ben.
And see you, everybody. See you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.